Okay, for a grid drawing, we need to first make a grid on our piece of paper. So, use a ruler, and we're gonna line up the edge of the ruler. Now the ruler really starts on this line right here, not at the very edge of the ruler. It starts right here. Otherwise, you're going to throw off the rest of your measurements. So just pay attention to that where this ruler actually starts, that's where the edge of the paper is. Okay, and then we're going to do it at every inch mark. Let's zoom a little bit better so you can see. And then what you're going to do is you're just going to make a little tick mark, just enough so you can see it. Okay, so basically at each of where the numbers are, that's where you can tick mark along there. You have to do it at the top, and you also have to do it at the bottom. Okay, again, line up your ruler where the ruler actually starts, the edge of the paper, and then you're gonna make the tick marks. Now, it's important that you do the top and the bottom, because using a ruler, you can always make a straight line, but what we're trying to do is make a perfectly vertical line. So in order to do that, you need to have 2 points. Okay, you could have multiple points, but you really only need 2 points to make sure that the ruler is going to be perfectly vertical. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to match up my ruler. I'm going to go out a little bit more so you can see a little bit more what I'm doing here now. I'm matching at the top, like a little tick mark, the top of the ruler, and then right here, see how it's not matched up? This is not matched up, then it's not going to be a perfectly vertical line, and you're going to have to erase it and start all over again. Okay, so just doing a little bit more work now is going to make it so much easier later. So just going to move my ruler over and just match up my tick marks. Okay, all the way through. Just make sure every time you do it, you match up the top and the bottom. Now these lines don't have to be really, really dark, just enough so you can see them. Okay, these are basically what I'm doing in this grid is like a guide, like guidelines. It helps break up the picture into like smaller chunks basically. So that way you're not having to look at the whole thing at the same time and try to figure out how to draw it. This is going to help you be able to draw in proportion, okay? So that way everything is going to be the right size compared to the rest of it. Okay, so here's this. Okay, so I have all of my vertical lines. Now I'm going to turn my paper to do the lines going across. Okay, so I'll zoom in again a little bit so you can see better here. Again, same thing. You're just going to line up the edge of the ruler to the edge of the paper and make your tick marks at each inch. Okay, and then do the same thing at the bottom. I'm just gonna flip my paper around so not a lot of room for you to see this. Okay, all right, so then I'm just gonna turn it this way, but I'm gonna match up the top tick mark to this one. Just make sure you hold on your ruler while you're doing this so that way it's not moving around on you while you're trying to make a line. And last one. This and this. Okay, so now this is ready. Last thing you gotta do is just obviously put your name on the back of it. Okay. Now the other thing, once you're ready for this part, you're gonna have to find a picture of a car, right? And we're just doing it in black and white just because we're really just looking at the lines. But as you can see, I already started doing this part. And what you're going to do is you're going to do the same thing with this paper. I already did it, so I am just going to show you how it like lines up. I have it so that way it's at each inch mark. So it's going to be the same dimensions as the other one. It's going to be inch by inch boxes, But this paper is slightly smaller. This is 8.5 by 11 paper because it's copy paper. This is drawing paper, so it's 9 by 12. Okay, so it's slightly smaller. So what happens is if there's a little, there's gonna be a few extra boxes, then you're just gonna like scribble off the part, like this part I don't need. So I know that, all right? So you're gonna count out your boxes. All right, so once you finish going through here, now the trickiest thing about the copy paper is because it's 8.5 by 11. 11's fine because it's an odd number, but it's just a full inches. The 8.5 is a little tricky. So when you match up your edge, like I did here, okay, they all have it on the inch mark, but then you have this 1/2 inch. So just make sure that when you're doing this, you do your top tick marks like you're supposed to, and then you come in the bottom. You're not flipping your ruler around, okay? Because if you do that, then the 1/2 inch is going to be on this side, and then it's going to throw off your lines that you're making. So just make sure that when you do your top, okay, and you do the tick marks across, then when you go down below, you're just moving your ruler down, so that way it still should be, you don't flip it, you just move it down so it's still 1 through 8 going this way. And then it will line up. And then that little 1/2 inch mark, you're just going to scribble off, okay? And then the last thing to do, okay, is always just like count out your boxes to make sure you have the same amount. So going long ways this way, because most of your pictures are going to be more like a landscape mode where it's more width-wise this way. It's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 11 boxes. So on here, okay, you're going to have 12 because remember this matched, I measured it out, it's 12 inches. So you actually have 1 more box on this paper. So all you're going to do is just like scribble this off, okay, just so you don't mess yourself up. And then this one has 8 boxes, okay, because remember it's 8.5 by 11, and we scribbled out the 1/2 box, so now it's 8 squares. So think about this, you're going down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then this bottom one here, you're gonna scribble off. Okay, because that's the 9, we don't want the 9. Okay, so that way now this is the same dimensions as your paper here, the picture here. Okay, the last thing to do was start, it would just really help if you put in, okay, I'm making the grid to make this like A, B, C all the way across, and then do your numbers down. But still, when you start with 1, start in the same box as A, and then you just number them all the way down. Okay, so I'm just going to do that here on my paper. You don't need to make them too big, just big enough so you can see them. And most likely these are going to be blank anyways, so it shouldn't really affect your drawing. Okay, because a lot of the cars are going to only fill up like the bottom part of here. They're not going to be up along the top anyways. And then the 1 and the numbers here are going to go along the side. Okay, now that's the part, now you're actually start ready to draw. Now again, remember I said it's supposed to be in proportion. Okay, so that way you're drawing accurately. So if you're just drawing what you see in each box, okay, then if you just kind of focus what's going on in each little like square here and draw the lines exactly what you see, you're eventually going to create this whole image, and it's going to be drawn accurately. Okay, now you might have to, as you're drawing through here, you know, you might have to touch up to make sure like this line here matches up to this line here. Okay, so you can always do little touch-ups, but it's really a guide to help you. So I'm just going to go through here real quick. Now the last thing, and I didn't mention this earlier, it's hard to tell, but I did this with like a marker. So I also have Sharpies and to help draw your lines. So if you can't really see your pencil lines because it's a really gray image, you can always use a Sharpie for this part. Don't use it on your white paper, okay? So all I'm gonna do here, I'm just gonna match up this part here. Okay, so like if I want to start, and you don't have to start along the edge, if you want to start like, you know, I kind of want to start, maybe I'll start here. I kind of want to start with that one. Okay, then you just count over. Okay, so this is E. Okay, so I'm E because I'm going down, and then I'm at 7. So E7. It's almost like you're playing chess here. is like you're just going to match this up here. So this is my E7 right here. All right, so this square is going to be slightly bigger than this one. All right, but we're just looking about how it matches up. Let's make this a little bit bigger. So really what I'm focusing on, I see this like rounded, like it's almost like half of a oval shape right here, and where it starts to curve right here at the top of this oval here, this really squished oval, is where it meets this line. Okay, and it starts down here and it's coming at an angle through here. Okay, so that's what I'm going to focus on mine. It starts down here and it goes up, and the top of the curve hits this top of the line right here, and it curves down. Okay, and then it comes down to here. Okay, I think I have too much bit of an angle on that, so I'm just going to adjust that real quick. And I have it like here. Okay, so now I'm going to do this bottom part here. So this bottom curve right here goes right in this corner. It like lays right there on right here. So I know this bottom, the curve is going to fit right here. And this curve right here is much further in. So it starts like here. Okay, so it's just kind of seeing those little things help out a lot. And this is still an angle going up. Okay, and then this does kind of curve out a little bit. So it kind of curves out like this a little bit, and then it curves in like this. Okay, so just kind of seeing that helps out a lot. And there's this other little tiny curve line that matches right through here. Okay, so I know there's part of the tire here, it's just really kind of hard to see. So some things are like a lot in shadow and they're hard to see, you know, you can go back and add, I'm gonna just go add the tire in later. I'm just gonna go see the lines that I can see easily. And then kind of from there, I can kind of go and figure out some of the tire parts. Okay, so, so like for here, so this goes up here. Okay, so you're starting to see a little bit of the headlight here, but the actual like bulb part is in the other square. I'm looking at this square, so you just see kind of like the, you know, the part of the metal that kind of comes around that part. So really all I'm seeing is this part right here. So that's in this square. So it starts up here, okay, right here I'm doing, and the curve comes down, and again, it goes right here. So now you kind of like mapped out where that comes in, and then the curve out comes out to about there. All right, so see here, and then I'm just kind of connecting them. And once you know how to map it up, map it out to where it is on the and like the square, it makes it a lot easier. So kind of have like this little little shape right here along this very top. Okay, it kind of comes up here, right here. Okay, and then I have this other little little shape right here as part of that logo for the Catalina. That is about, it kind of cuts into here about middle of the square, and it does also kind of an angle, but it's very, very thin. So that, okay, so that would still have to draw like the C and stuff like that for the logo. Okay, but as you can see, I'm just kind of going square by square and seeing what I need to draw, and then you're kind of slowly building up the image. So where you want to start is fine. You know, you don't have to start like at A1 and then work your way down. You can just start where you want to, just make sure that you're lining up, you know, looking at, you know, these to make sure, like if you want to start here, this is also in this part, okay? And you don't need to worry about drawing anything in the background.